your heart start to beat really fast, or the palms of your hands start to get really sweaty, and you get those icky butterflies in your stomach when you're nervous, chances are you probably have. Many people, including myself, have experienced some kind of anxiety. Anxiety is so common that the Anxiety and Depression Association say that anxiety disorders are the most common mental illness, and anxiety disorders affect more than 40 million adults per year. Even though anxiety is still really common, there's so many people that don't really understand it. So today I'm going to discuss what anxiety is, the symptoms that some people have, what causes it, and the different treatments for it. So let's begin with what anxiety is. The National Institution of Mental Health says that everybody experiences some form of anxiety at some point in their life, whether it's getting nervous about an upcoming exam for school, dealing with problems at work, or getting ready to make an important life decision. Occasionally feeling anxious is normal and expected, but anxiety turns into an anxiety disorder whenever it's not a once in a while feeling of being anxious. An anxiety disorder means you have anxiety very frequently, it's reoccurring, and it doesn't stop or go away. That can become a problem because if it doesn't stop and prolongs, it can become worse. The American Psychiatric Association says that there are 5 different types of anxiety disorders. General anxiety disorder is an excessive worry about several different things that occur in people's everyday lives. These can range from big things to little things. Panic disorder is reoccurring panic attacks, and sometimes the panic attacks that people experience are so severe that they'll go to the emergency room because they believe they're having a heart attack or a life-threatening illness because they're so intense. Social anxiety is the most common form of an anxiety disorder and usually starts in people around the age of 13. A social anxiety person feels like they will be rejected or humiliated when they are in social activities. Phobias or specific phobias are an excessive fear of specific things, objects, or activities. And lastly, separation anxiety, which is an excessive fear of being separated from that person that you are attached to. There's so many different symptoms that people can experience, and not every 2 people are the same. So what somebody experiences could be different from what somebody else experiences, and each type of anxiety disorder has their own symptoms that people feel within those different disorders. But the Mayo Clinic lists a general idea of what the most common symptoms are, which are an increased heart rate, hyperventilation, sweating, and excess worry. So now that I've talked about what anxiety is and some of the symptoms, let's talk about what causes it. Anxiety is still really complex, and many doctors don't fully know what causes it. But things like traumatic life events, certain personality types, and genetic factors can all be causes. There are also some medical illnesses that are linked to anxiety disorders. There are also certain factors that can increase your risk to develop anxiety disorders. This is like stress buildup, stress from an illness, your caffeine intake, and drug and alcohol can all increase your chances. So now let's talk about the different kinds of treatments. If you suffer from anxiety, don't worry because it is treatable. The first step is properly getting diagnosed by a healthcare professional so that you can be properly treated for your specific needs. There are many different approaches to treating anxiety. The American Psychology Association says that seeing a psychologist is an effective way of treatment because psychologists are trained to diagnose different anxiety disorders, and they can teach the patient healthier and more effective ways to cope with their anxiety. Also, learning to identify and manage your anxiety is effective, so that way you can learn what triggers your anxiety and how you can prevent yourself from becoming anxious in the first place. Medication is also an effective treatment to anxiety, but there are so many different kinds of medication that it can take a lot of time and patience to find the medicine that works for you. There are also different natural ways to reduce your anxiety. These things can include meditation, exercise, healthy eating habits, and yoga, etc. Anxiety is very real and really prevalent. By now, you should understand what anxiety is, understand some of the symptoms that it can cause people, why people get certain anxiety disorders, and the different kinds of treatments available. Thank you for listening to my speech, and if you suffer from anxiety, know that you are not alone and there is help available.
Where? How?